Are we doing it? Cool. Hello, everyone. It's Sara. And this is Jay. We are here to give you a Q3 market report from the SAP market. This is how do I say it? This is a collaboration. This is both from the thousands of plus people that the team speaks to a week. This is also from hardcore data from LinkedIn. And this is really going to be a good summary of some of the trends, challenges, and insights we're seeing in the SAP market, and how hopefully they will be able to help you as either a candidate or a client moving into the next quarter.
So yes, both subjective, objective. Mm-hmm. I think there's 8 of us in the SAP team now, and we each speak to 20 candidates a week and clients. So
we speak to more than that.
You speak to that? Oh yeah, 20 candidates a day.
A day.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. 100 candidates clients a week. Yeah. There you go. 100 candidates and clients a week. Yeah. So both subjective and objective, and then also we've got 4,500 SAP candidates and clients on our database. So we send out monthly newsletters to them, and we're interacting with them. So that's where our data comes from.
Yeah, so really it's coming from you guys. So thank you for your help. So some of the trends, obviously, that we're getting asked, or rather the questions that we're most getting asked, I think right now, is still very much, how is the market? Yeah,
I've just come off a meeting with SAP, and they were asking the same thing actually. Like, how's the market? And I'll try and narrow this down into like a short 1 or 2 minute. So if I go over, let me know. But so basically, if I rewind back 2 years ago, we had a huge influx of permanent placements, and these were our placements. And the reason for that was SAP set that deadline for S4, 2027, and they were being partner-led in terms of implementation. So all the tier ones, they built their capability. They acquired tier two consultancies, and then they done a huge influx of hiring to get ready for this wave of work. So that was 2 years ago. Historically, the split between contract and perm is about 65% contract and 35% perm in terms of the market. 2 years ago, huge influx of perm, and it was 50-50 in terms of contract and perm.
Indicates a confident market.
Yeah.
Normally, if a perm market is really, really strong, it means great. We've got long-term goals. We've got headcount approvals. We're here to grow, for years to come, not in a short project sprint that's 12 to 24 months.
Exactly. So fast forward to today, and the first point in our quarterly report is only 16% of customers in ANZ have actually moved to S4. So that's not a whole load of work. And I think there's more than 350 incidences of SAP in ANZ. So again, 16%.
It's not much.
It's not much.
No,
it's not much. So what happened last year was there wasn't that influx of work. So those consultancies that build their practices, it's an investment to hold, but how long do you hold? So a lot of people started being retrenched, and there was a lot of senior resources on the market. There was a lot of restructures in companies and a lot of senior resources in the market. But fast forward to now, and this quarter, 85% of our placements are now in the contracting space, and 15% in the perm space. Like, why do you think that is?
Well, like I said, I think perm shows confidence, as brutal as it sounds, and it may not be the message that you want to hear, but we're here to tell you the truth. Market's not super confident at the moment. I think it's cautiously optimistic. We all know work has to come. 16% leaves, quick math, 84%. That still needs to jump. That's a huge number. Really, really big. And they don't have heaps long to do it. So I think that the 85% contract shows, okay, we know we've got projects, probably quite a few to prep for S4. You can't just jump from ECC to S4. Planning needs to happen. If you've got old clunky data that's in your ECC system. There's no point brownfield migrating it over to an S4 platform. You got to clean up some stuff. I think that's where the contract's coming in. A lot of projects to prep for S4. Still some clients who are doing S4 projects. There are 100% pockets of work. But I think as we spent so much as a market planning, preparing, seemingly all through 2023, I think everyone kind of expected a little bit more of a push in terms of activity in 2024. We haven't quite gotten there yet. And I think that speaks to, again, cautious optimism. The companies that are doing that work are doing it. It's probably going to be contract because it's project work. They need a sprint to get it done, but they still don't know what their long-term plan is for the next 4 to 5 years.
Yeah. And I think the good news is, yes, it was 85% contract. It was actually a record quarter in terms of placements for us in contract. Now, a lot of those contracts, like, work will be there, will always be there. But obviously, when companies are having restructures and letting people go, the work doesn't disappear. So they still need work done, and that's why they're filling it with a contractor. And also, we're doing a lot of work in SuccessFactors.
Yeah. Oh, SuccessFactors, I think throughout the last 2 years has kept the most steady in every single skill. Supply chain definitely had that bump, but SuccessFactors was just
constant,
across the board. You've got workforce dimensions and UKG Kronos implementations happening now because they have their own deadline. That needs to plug into some form of an ERP, more often than not SuccessFactors or SAP HR Payroll. Then you've just got recruitment, onboarding. I mean, payroll is the one thing no company wants to get wrong. If you get your payroll wrong, you're in the news, and it's the worst sort of news. You're in the papers. So I think that SuccessFactors is a skill. If you were looking at the top skills in the market right now, it must be at the very top of the list for most in demand.
Yeah. And that specific market is very different to ERP and S4, where only 16% have moved. So the demand for contract for that market is coming from a lack of resources. So realistically, if you're a company and you're looking for a SuccessFactors personnel and you get a headcount approved, it's very difficult to source
find that permie.
Because the fact is, demand is high, and when demand is high, resources will go contracting because that's where the remuneration is for them. So that SuccessFactors space very, very, very different to the ERP. The ERP space, yeah.
And it does kind of speak to, I mean, I think a good rule, I suppose, if you're going to be a hiring manager and you know you've got a tough role to fill, it can be really easy to fixate on one thing you can offer to kind of like fix all your problems. If you've got a tricky role, you're like, oh great, we'll throw money at the problem, we'll make it 100% remote. I think it's really important to remember that you can offer a lot of things in a package of a role that makes it appealing to an SAP professional. It's not always going to be money. I think when we do our talent survey that'll come out, a lot of our clients are often surprised that money's not far and away the runaway. 80% of the market's just looking for more. Sure, the market looks for a fair wicket, but if you're offering work from home flexibility, we know that 100% remote's pretty rare these days, but if you're offering, I think, just flexibility in general, you're not painting everyone with the same rule of, no, you need to be in the office on these days because that's when everyone else is in there. If you understand that by treating everyone differently, you're treating everyone the same, that's really key as a hiring manager. And even as a leader these days, it's become very, very important to the workforce professional to just feel that element of herd, I guess, particularly around their working from home situation. Yeah.
And that's how you secure talent. And I think that's happening right now in the SuccessFactors space where companies that are adapting and are flexible and they are securing the right talent.
Yeah.
In the ERP space, there are projects that are starting, and the reality is they're getting the pick of the talent at the minute.
That's important to note.
They're not coming up against these problems yet.
Yeah.
But when that wave of work does happen and multiple projects start at the same time, some of the things that Sara was saying there around being flexible, making sure you don't treat everyone with the same brush, these things are going to be very, very key when attracting and obviously retaining retaining talent.
Yeah, massively. And I think it goes without saying, I mean, if such a large portion of the market needs to move, you obviously don't want to be hitting the market all at the same time. If you've got pretty good visibility that, okay, maybe in 3 months' time I'm going to need something, but you know in 3 months' time everyone else is going to be looking for the same thing, get a head start if you can. You think you're going to be spending more money, but I promise you, you will not in the long term. If you start hitting the market in that 2025, 2026 block to build your core team, your project managers, your functional leads, your solution architects, the premium that you are going to be paying, because those candidates are going to be getting 6-7 calls a week maybe about another opportunity, another 12-month contract that can maybe offer $50, $100 more, or if it's offering them 100% remote. That is what you'll be coming up against. So you may think, oh, but I don't need them immediately. It might be good to have them, but maybe I'll just kick that can down the road. We do not advise that.
Yeah.
Get them in early, because you're going to have your pick of the talent. They're going to be, candidates will be grateful to, in a relatively quiet market, have long-term stability on an exciting program that they know has longevity. I mean, wow, you can't put a dollar price on that right now. I think that that's really what's in demand.
Yeah. Okay. One thing I want to focus on now, before we wrap up, is, say you're running a large S4 program and you did wait and you're down the line and you go to market and it's very hard to find resources. What advice would you give to clients? Because a lot of the time they hire on experience, but moving to the cloud, and it's about adoption now. It's not about what you've done. So what advice would you give to clients that come to you in a year's time and say, we've been looking for this role for 6 months, there is no one with experience? What would you say?
It's a really common problem in Australia as well. And we asked SAP Australia this exact question, because we've come up against it pretty often. I think public cloud especially seems to be a hot topic where the need is there from a hiring perspective, but the talent doesn't exist. What SAP told us, and I'm now almost verbatim repeating it to every single client in this situation, hire for a growth mindset. Ultimately, and like how many times have we said it, we're not really here to judge technical skills. You could be doing anything, but we're here to judge a mindset, a personality, a culture fit, most importantly. And I think that something like a growth mindset, and it's something that you don't have to have particularly a growth mindset in that, even in that specific area. But if you've got the foundations of the experience, you show that of your own independence, of your own volition, I've gone out to learn X, Y, Z. There was this opportunity in my company. I put my hand up to say, oh, I'd like a little bit of that, whatever it is. That is a growth mindset. I think that the companies that recognize that worth a lot sooner will be better off for it. Because if you hold out for that one person who's done the one implementation that you're looking for in Australia, imagine how many other companies are going to be speaking to that person. Imagine the price that they're going to be asking for.
So I'll give you one quick story before we sign up on that. So I was at a client site. They gave me a vacancy, and it's for a BA, and they needed to have payroll experience. And we went to market. Very, very difficult to find a BA with payroll experience that is available, that is local as well. Very, very difficult, and it was a short-term engagement. So we went to market and found a couple of options, not quite right, but there was one option that didn't have the experience, that didn't have the payroll experience, but a very, very, very good BA. The client bought into their growth mindset and how they could learn, took a chance, and she's been integral to that program and was there for over 2 years. So that's an example of a client stepping outside the box and hiring on growth and potential, as opposed to experience and what they have done. So I just wanted to end on that story, and that's the message that I want to send out. I don't think you'll need it now, but certainly when that wave of work comes and those 84% of clients do move to S4, and if it happens at the same time, these are the strategies you're going to have to adopt.
Yeah. And even from a candidate perspective, start making note now. If there are things that you can start picking up, again, it doesn't need to be specific to a particular area, but if you see opportunity to grow, learn, put your hand up for it, and then make a note. You never want to leave your resume updating until the very last minute. Make a note that you did it, when you did it, and what it was for. And I promise you it's going to be helping you tenfold when you are looking for that good opportunity.
Perfect.
Thanks so much, guys. See you next time.